Hey friends, welcome back to another video. This is future Gloria jumping in because I lost the original intro clip. So this is going to be a reading vlog. I was originally inspired to do this vlog because I was sitting at 187 books read and I had 13 days left of the year. And I thought if I'm ever going to reach 200 books read in a year in my lifetime, 2021 is going to be the year because my life is only getting busier in 2022. I really wanted to get to 200, and so I set myself a challenge to read 13 books in 13 days in the last 13 days of December. And did I make it? Well, you'll see at the end, but I sure tried. So that's what this vlog is. There's some Christmas content sprinkled throughout, but not too much. It's mostly just my face talking about all the books that I'm cramming into the last 13 days of the year. So here we go, roll the clips. All right, it's officially the first day of my 13 books in 13 day challenge, and I did finish one book, and that is The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. To be fair, I only had like a couple chapters left in this book. So this is the second book in the Thursday Murder Club series. I think it will be multiple books. In the month of December, I did read the first one, The Thursday Murder Club, and then this one. It's the sequel that came out this year, and these are very cozy, humorous, fun, lighthearted murder mysteries about this retired community in England, and they are very sweet and wholesome, and I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I gave this one 4 stars. I also gave The Thursday Murder Club 4 stars. So one done, 12 more to go. I'm really just hoping to settle down with the puzzle in an audiobook, and I'm currently listening to The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by Boyne. It is a young adult World War II historical fiction. And then I started physically reading last night Feel Your Way Through by Kelsea Ballerini. This is a poetry collection. I'm already over halfway through, so I think I could finish this evening, especially since Krista from Books and Jams is hosting another reading productivity sprint that is in a couple of hours. I'm definitely planning to join in and hopefully finish this book and then potentially also finish a graphic novel. I haven't chosen which one yet. I'm here to check in with you about a couple books that I finished. Don't mind this awesome angle. This is Lexi, if you haven't met her yet. The 189th book that I finished this year is Feel Your Way Through by Kelsea Ballerini. The author is a singer, pop, country singer-songwriter. Oh, you're done? Okay. I enjoyed this poetry collection. I ended up giving it 4 stars. Overall, I wouldn't say anything is overly deep or profound, but I thought that there were poems that were really beautifully written. The messages are kind of growing up, divorced parents, various poems on body shame and eating disorders, dating. I definitely didn't love or connect with all of them, but I enjoyed quite a few. It was short and sweet. The next book that I finished, also short, not very sweet. It was actually very sad, and that is The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. I gave it 4 stars as well. It basically follows a 9-year-old German boy who has to move with his family to Auschwitz. His father is a high-ranking Nazi commander, and he ends up befriending a Jewish boy on the other side of the concentration camp fence line. I think there was a little bit of a need for me to let go of some realistic situations, particularly this 9-year-old boy in Germany. He's very, very ignorant, very naive. He has no idea what's going on and can't really wrap his mind around why there are, you know, Jews on the other side of the fence line. There was an interview with the author and the editor at the end of the audiobook. That was really interesting and good to listen to. Gave me some perspective on the book. So I officially have 10 books left, and tomorrow is 10 days left of the year. Since I finished Boy in the Striped Pajamas, I started listening to Taste by Stanley Tucci. This is his memoir slash cookbook slash food journey. I'm learning about different regions in Italy and the food that comes from those regions, which some parts of it are really interesting. Other parts are a little bit boring and kind of glazing over. Still a good read. Enjoying listening to it. I'll probably finish that tomorrow and start another audiobook. Hey friends, just checking in that I have now read 191 books. I finished Catherine's War by Julia Billet and Claire Fauvel. This is a young teen, so technically a middle grade graphic novel based on true events. The author originally wrote the story based on her mother's life story during the war, and it's about a young woman who is a Jew, and she ends up surviving the war and kind of going from hiding place to hiding place with the French resistance. She is a photographer, so she photographs her whole journey. I gave this book 3 stars because I did really like it and had some takeaways. However, I found it very choppy, disjointed. I really enjoyed the color illustrations, just had a hard time kind of following along the story, and that could be because it was originally translated, so it could be lost in translation with some of the flow of how the story is going. Overall, liked it. I just think it could have been a little bit better put together. Also, it felt a little disjointed in a sense that this felt very very childlike. The illustrations were childlike. The main character is even drawn as like a young, you know, 13-year-old girl. However, some stuff that she goes through and some romances that are portrayed here in the book are more adult. So it felt a little confusing. Like, you're reading the perspective from a young adult. However, it's sort of made into like a kid's book to be digested by someone who's much younger. So it was a little bit confusing in that sense. I am just about done with Taste by Stanley Tucci. I think I'm gonna land on a 2.5 stars. It's just not totally gripping, and I don't care about some things that he's talking about in there. Some stories and anecdotes are funny, but some are a bit forgettable. I'm listening to it as an audiobook and he's narrating it himself, and I'm enjoying that aspect to it. But it's just one of those memoirs that's not totally gonna stick with me because it isn't fully about his life. I mean, it is, but it's more about the food that he's eating, which makes sense based on the title, but I'm finding that I don't care as much. That is 192 books read. I have 8 more to go, and I have 10 days left because the day is still young. It's only like noon. So I'm gonna start my next audiobook. I have quite a few checked out from Libby, see what I'm in the mood for, because I'm going to be doing some driving today, finishing some last minute Christmas shopping. All right, friends, I'm back from some last minute Christmas shopping, and I need to show you this because this is the cutest. I'm sending this gift to my brother and my sister-in-law who live in Seattle. She's actually currently, as I'm filming this on December 21st at 2:30, she's currently in the hospital giving birth, which is very exciting. But look at this little onesie that I found. Isn't it cute? It says "Be kind." Obviously, our family's obsessed with these. And then, because we're from Portland, little Nikes. And then I got some books. So really cute board book by Elizabeth Doyle, ABC, and it has every letter, beautiful illustrations in it. And then I mentioned this next book in my 12 nonfiction books that I want to read in 2022, bringing up Bebe by Pamela Druckerman, specifically because my sister-in-law will be probably reading it if she wants to, and I want to read it alongside her. But this is all about raising kids the French way. And then I saw this actually at the library. Someone was checking it out, and the title, I found it very funny: How to Raise Kids Who Aren't A-Holes, Science-Based Strategies for Better Parenting from Tots to Teens by Melinda, Wenner, Moyer. I thought, you know what, maybe my brother and my sister-in-law will read it and get some stuff from it, and if not, there's a Barnes & Noble receipt. They can return it if they want to pick up something else, but I thought it was kind of funny. That's my little gift bundle for them. I am officially all done with Christmas presents, and now I just need to finish wrapping the rest, and while I do that, I will be listening to my audiobook. I started listening to I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austin Channing Brown, narrated by the author, which is my favorite, and it's really good so far. I'm really enjoying it. That's my plan, to work on that audiobook while I do the other things. It is Wednesday evening, December 22nd. And by the way, I have a new nephew, and I'm very excited about that. And I've officially reached 195 books read. So I have 3 books to check in with you guys about. 5 books left total till the end of the year, and I think I can do it. The first book that I finished today is I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austin Channing Brown. I really enjoyed this read. I gave it 4 stars. The author is a Black Christian woman, and she is writing about her experience as a Black Christian woman and her kind of critique on different experiences that she's had, particularly in the workplace and in the church. And so she has different anecdotes and stories and experiences that she's had that have been quite racist, and she brings up themes of white fragility and white guilt. Enjoyed it and would recommend if you're looking to read more on some Black literature. And then today I also finished Bridge to Terabithia by Katherine Paterson. I had never read the book before, but I was a big fan of the movie. I remember watching multiple times when I was younger. I remember crying, like hit me in the heart. This book was very short and sweet and also quite sad at the end. I thought it was well written. I also gave it 4 stars. I would have loved reading it when I was younger too. The main story is about friendship of like 9-year-olds, 5th graders, and there's themes of bullying and family, parental relationship and sibling relationship, and also just like childhood imagination and wonder and creativity. I thought this was a fantastic middle grade. The third third book that I finished today is Memorial Drive by Natasha Trethewey. And this is a memoir from the daughter's perspective, sharing about how her mother died, how her mother was shot by her abusive stepfather. And so you find that out right away, and then the daughter, Natasha, is retelling her kind of like life story, all the events leading up to the murder. I struggled with this one. I actually ended up giving this 2 stars. I thought it was fine. 2 stars is not terrible by any means. It's fine. I didn't connect with the way that the story was told. I felt like it was choppy and kind of confusing, sort of trying to be true crime, but then not really gripping in any way. It just kind of felt like this author was just trying to internally process what happened to her mother and like working through trauma, which is totally valid. I guess I didn't really care to sit with that. So I think that's just a problem that I have. It's a me problem. I don't think that's a problem with the book. But I will say, for those that love to read memoirs and are interested in this, big trigger warning for domestic abuse, violence, obviously, murder, very heavily descriptive domestic violence. It was tough to read. 195 books read. I definitely want to try to squeeze in a couple more graphic novels if possible. I have them checked out, so read a couple physically to take a break from the audio book intake that I'm getting. But I will still listen to an audiobook because I do that when I need to do errands, do laundry, wrap presents, etc. So I will be picking up, I think, my next audiobook. I do have A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens checked out. It's only a 4-hour audiobook. I actually picked this up based on a subscriber recommendation. I think in my festive book tag video, I confessed that I was a Grinch and I don't really care about Christmas, and I haven't really read any Christmas books at all. I have not watched many Christmas movies. I think just like 2. I've watched Home Alone and I watched Klaus last year with my husband, the Netflix movie, which was literally like the sweetest, most wholesome movie ever. So I highly recommend if you're looking for a Christmas movie. But besides that, I've seen no other Christmas movies and I don't have any like context for all the Christmas things. So I've never read A Christmas Carol, and I don't really care to, because it's about ghosts. Like, it's about a grumpy old man reliving his life, right? And then he gets the Christmas spirit and there's like ghosts of Christmas past, present, future, whatever. But I want to give it a try. So I think that's going to be my next audiobook. And then for graphic novels, the one that I think I'll start tonight is They Called Us Enemy. This is about the Japanese concentration camps. So during World War II, 120,000 Japanese Americans were imprisoned by the US government. And so this is taking a look at that experience. The other one I have here is an adult graphic novel, and it is A German Reckons with History and Home, Belonging by Nora Krug. I think this is also a book about the war, about Nazis, about what it means to be a German, living with that kind of history on your shoulders as a country. One of those I'll probably pick up next. It's been a minute. It is now December 28th, and I don't know, last time I checked in face-to-face in this vlog was like 5 days ago. It was before Christmas Eve. I had a wonderful Christmas and I really filmed none of it. I have one picture to show for it, Brendan and I and our cat Lexi, and that was our Christmas Day photo. I filmed a little bit on Christmas Eve, which was us playing dominoes with my parents, and the Christmas Eve candlelight church service, which was lovely, but I haven't checked in otherwise. It's been kind of busy post-Christmas because, one, Portland got hit with like a snowstorm. It's not that really big of a snowstorm, but everyone in Oregon just doesn't know how to do anything when it snows. And also, I've been really busy at the library working. I did finish one book the day before Christmas Eve, and that was They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. I gave this 4 stars. I learned a lot about the experience being in a Japanese internment camp during World War II. I thought it was well done. I learned a lot. I enjoyed this graphic novel. That currently puts me at 196 books read. I have 4 more to read in the next 3 days. I do though want to show a little bit of a Christmas haul, sort of. So dangerously, I went to Barnes & Noble today to return a gift that I got my nephew that he already had, so I needed to return it. And it just so happens that Barnes & Noble was having 50% off all hardcovers. I'm pretty sure every Barnes & Noble across the US was having this sale. This is basically what I got myself for Christmas, is what this haul is. I will mention 2 gifts though that I got from other people that are bookish related. For myself today, I purchased The Nature of Fragile Things by Susan Meissner. I have already read this and I absolutely loved it. This was a 5-star read and I wanted to own it because maybe I see myself rereading this someday, but if anything, I will definitely be loaning this out to friends of mine to read. It's gonna make its way into the top books of the year for sure. The next book I am so excited about, and it will be in my 12 classics that I hope to read in 2022, and that is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I read the graphic novel adaptation of this book and really loved it, and so I just know that I'm gonna love this children's classic. And then next I got That Sounds So Good by Carla Lalli Music. This is a cookbook. Isn't it beautiful? Just beautiful and bright and lovely. Originally I know of Carla from Bon Appetit's YouTube channel. I was a big fan of Bon Appetit really in the past, before all of the recent changes and basically half the people left, but I love those videos and I am so excited to jump into this cookbook and make some recipes. And then finally, the most out of my comfort zone, but I picked it up for a specific reason, is Small Favors by Aaron A. Craig. This is a young adult sci-fi fantasy. Not entirely sure at all what this book entails, but I believe it is magical in some aspects. But this cover just has a ton of bees and honey on it, and you know me, I read books with bees on the cover or in the title or anything having to do with the story, so this is going into that bee collection. I just have this weird desire to read all the books with bees on them. It is a beautiful cover and this book might surprise me, you never know. Speaking of bees, a book that I did not get myself but was a Christmas gift from my mother-in-law, Honey and Venom, Confessions of an Urban Beekeeper by Andrew Cote. This is a nonfiction. This book is all about beekeeping in New York City, one particular beekeeper's experience. I love this cover and am excited to own it and excited to read it. Like I say in almost all my videos, stay tuned for a bee-themed reading vlog, because now I just have too many books and I need, I don't know, need to make like 5 vlogs to cover all the new bee books that I've purchased. Switching gears a little bit, I had no self-control. I went into the board game and puzzle store at the mall and they had 50% off all puzzle sale. Are you kidding me? No self-control. Like, books is one thing because I buy so many books for 50 cents or thrifted or free that I really have a hard time justifying paying full price for books. I'd rather be like, I'll just wait till they show up for cheap somewhere. But puzzles, I have zero self-control with, especially if they're beautiful puzzles and they're only $10 or less. Like, are you kidding me? That's like hours and hours of fun. Of course I'll pay all of my money, all of my fun money on puzzles. I have 6 puzzles to show you. I bought 5 of them myself. Now for Christmas, we weren't gonna get each other gifts, but my husband did get me a really epic puzzle felt board table situation from Bits and Pieces. I'll insert a picture here because it's too huge for me to stand up and show you, but the felt actually works because I tried to put a puzzle piece on it and it works, but it's supposed to help with my posture, and now I have this awesome board to do puzzles on. All of these next puzzles I'll show you. I don't know when I'm gonna get to them because my life is so busy at the moment, but whenever I do, I now have a really cool space for it. So this first puzzle was a gift from my sister, and that is a Galison tropical puzzle. This works perfectly because I just came from Mexico and I kind of love these collage-y type of puzzles. They're just really fun to do. Now for the 5 other puzzles I bought myself. If you want to see all the puzzles I own, I just recently made a puzzle collection video. Now that's currently out of date because I just added more puzzles to my collection. This first one that I purchased myself, I probably shouldn't have got it, especially since I got the other ones 50% off from the puzzle store, but this one was from Barnes & Noble. It was an impulse purchase. It's a Ravensburger 1000-piece princess puzzle. I love the Disney princesses, and I love that they included the Tangled princess on here because that's one of my favorite newest Disney movies. You guys, this was only $4. It is a Pride and Prejudice 252-piece puzzle, and it's double-sided, and it comes in this cute little box that looks like a book. This is literally the most perfect gift for book lovers and puzzlers. It's a tiny little puzzle, 252 pieces, not very much, but I know it's gonna be so fun. And my plan is that I will do this when listening to the audiobook of Pride and Prejudice. The perfect combo. I then picked up 2 flow puzzles for, again, $10 each. This beautiful one that says free to just be. It looks lovely and fun. Also, Dare to Dream by Flo. Just imaginative and whimsical. I'm excited to do that one. And finally, I'm excited to try this new brand, Artisan Puzzles. Natalie Lette is the illustrator, and it is mushrooms. I actually love eating mushrooms, but I don't get a chance to because my husband hates them. It's his main food that he refuses to try, which is very sad for me because I would make so many mushroom dishes if I could. I have books to read, puzzles to do, and no time to do either of those things in right now because my life is kind of hectic at the moment. I will do a final wrap up at some point. That'll probably be the next time you see me because I have limited time and I'm gonna try to squeeze in these last 4 books in these last 3 days. Happy New Year. It is currently January 4th and I never outroed this vlog. So here we go. I made it. I made it to 200, but barely, just barely. I finished my 200 book at like 6:30 p.m. on New Year's Eve, right before we were leaving to a wedding. But I got there in the end and I made it to 200. So let me wrap up the few books that I closed out this year with. The 197th book that I finished was A Christmas Carol. I mentioned that that was my next audiobook and I had low expectations and those low expectations were met. I'm sorry to all my friends who loved this book, but I really did not. I ended up giving it 3 stars because it was fine-ish. I didn't really like it, so it should be closer to 2. At this point, I feel like everyone knows the premise of the story. Book 198 was 5 Total Strangers by Natalie D. Richards. This is a mystery thriller. I think I first heard this book either from Lindsay's Little Library or Sarah's Nightstand. I think they both mentioned it. But this caught my eye because No Exit by Taylor Adams is one of my all-time favorite thrillers. That was such a wild ride and such an experience, and the premise of this one kind of gave me those vibes, and so I was very eager to pick it up. Unfortunately, I didn't really like this one. This was very YA, surprisingly, even though this is not a YA book. This is an adult, but it follows college students and a high school student, and it was young and really unrealistic and just kind of silly. Basically, 5 young adults are crammed into a car after the airport shuts down. They decide to drive home for Christmas, and the drive is very perilous and roads are closing and accidents are happening, and they end up trying to stop at various places, and everyone is mean. Like, everywhere they stop, people are terrible and like want to kick them out and not help them, which is so unrealistic. I feel like if there was actual danger on the roads and you stopped at a rest area or like a little open business, little mom and pop shop, they would help you. People are not evil. So I ended up giving it 2 stars. It was fine. It wasn't absolutely the worst thriller I've ever read, but it wasn't amazing and it did not live up to my expectations of being as good as No Exit. And then to close out the year, book 199 was Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This is a YA contemporary. Who would have thunk that I would close out the year with a YA contemporary, which is probably my least read genre. No, that's not true. That's probably like horror that I don't read that much of. But still, YA contemporary is not my thing. But I've heard of this book, wanted to pick it up, and let's be honest, it was a really short audiobook. It was a 5-hour audiobook, and that's what I needed. So that's why I picked it up. And I would say this book is comparable to The Hate You Give. It follows a young man named Justice, and he has a project where he is writing letters to Martin Luther King. It's not historical. He's writing like letters to Martin Luther King as if he was alive, in hopes of becoming more like him, trying to get into the mental space of figuring out what would Martin do in this situation, because he's living in a town where there were some cops that are being really racist towards black kids, and also a young black boy was killed, and then a cop was killed, and there's a trial going on. There's references to gang violence, and just a lot of the story centered around race relations in this town and what this young man is going through. I enjoyed reading from this perspective. I gave it 4 stars. I will say this is a YA contemporary, so by no surprise there is quite a bit of language in here, but that also kind of made sense with the story and the characters in it, so it didn't feel completely out of place. And then book 200 to close out the year. I was really just desperate. I needed to finish this in like half a day, and I just picked up Dear Justice, which is the second book and the companion book to Dear Martin, and this book just picks up where this one left off. It follows a side character that was mentioned in Dear Martin, and that is a young black man who is in the juvie prison system, and it takes a closer look at his upbringing, his experience, how he got into the prison system, choices he made in his adolescence to get him to that place, and then ultimately the characters that were in this book come back to help him and to try to get him out of prison. So I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It was a little less compelling than this first book. Still enjoyed reading from that experience. experience, kind of putting my headspace into the perspective of what it means to grow up without the privilege that I grew up having and without the opportunities that I grew up having. So it was still important, and I feel like for a younger audience, an important read. So yeah, that's it. I managed to 200, but just barely. But I appreciate you guys that have stuck around this long and watched the whole thing through, and just thank you so much for this year as a whole on BookTube. It's been so much fun. I appreciate all of you guys that watch, that like, that comment, that subscribe, all the things. It's literally been the best reading year, and this is the best community, so all the love. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in many more videos soon. Bye!